21. Today we're going to be talking about email onboarding and drip campaigns. And so we're going to start out by going through some of the back-end stuff in Brilliant Directories for the newsletters. And what I want to show you today is not really a newsletter thing, but it's something that they just introduced on yesterday's webinar, just to show you what is coming for newsletters. So if you guys go to Content Web Page Builder and you got the new web page and you create a new web page, and most of you probably have already used this before, but they have these new draggable content blocks that are available. And they started out at first just by having a couple different modules. They had text with image on left, right? So if you drag and drop that over, it has the content, an FAQ module, and you can just drag and drop. So now it's all ready to edit. But they did add some over the last week, and they're basically just little content modules. So more what you would likely see on a normal, email marketing platform or drag and drop kind of builder, where you can add images, videos, button links, contact forms, text blocks, section titles, divider lines, and line breaks. So these all work just the same. So if you just want a text block, let's say I want to add a text block on top of that, I just drag that. And so now that's inside of there. Let's say I wanted to add a contact form on this side here. Underneath that is now a generic contact form. And then I can just change the form there. Let's say, reply contact. Let's say that was my other new form that I developed. So you just change that. And that'll edit that in that spot. So you guys get the point. You can add images in there. Now I want 2 images. It's now in there. And so you can just drag and drop these elements inside of those actual items. If you want to just make generic tables, this is all content. Obviously, you can just insert a table, do a 3 wide, and now you have that. And then again, you can drag and drop images into each one of those. And now with those individual content blocks, it just makes it a lot easier to add those things in there. So there's a button, there's a button, there's a button. Now I just made my own item in there, and then I can obviously center that in the alignment and just use all these. So it makes it very easy now to kind of make that content. And right now that's only available on the web pages, but pretty soon they're going to be rolling that out to the actual email templates. So when you go to send a newsletter, for example, right now that is you compose it in here, set up who you're going to send and send it out. But the templates. You got to make the email template first and then send it out. So let me just go over that again, backtrack a little bit. If you guys are going to send out a newsletter in BD, you need to go to emails and email templates, and then you can either edit the ones that are already in here, and they all come as pre-made templates. You have 69, but you can actually go ahead and customize each one of these. And when you do that, I'm going to show you what it does here. I won't actually customize it, Frank, so this will be the same, but I'm just going to save that template. And as soon as you save that, it's going to move that from the default template to a custom template tab. So now all of the original templates are here, but I now have a custom template that I have modified. So anything that you make either on your new email template or any pre-made ones that you edit, they will show up in this custom template tab. So right now when you go to, let me just go back to edit again. Let's pretend we're going to fully edit this custom template. Right now it doesn't have any blocks in here. So eventually they're going to add that stuff that you saw in the other pages right in here, so you can drag and drop and create your own messaging. So until they do that, what I recommend, if you guys want to use those content block pieces, just go ahead and make a new web page, design, quote, your newsletter right in there, and then just go ahead and hit this code view on the web page. Just copy, just go Control A and then Control C to copy that. I'm sure everybody knows how to do that. Just copy that. And then when you come back into your newsletter, then you just come back into the code view here and then paste it all in. And it's going to look exactly like it did on the other HTML editor that used the drag and drop. But eventually it'll be in here, so you guys can do that in here. And then once you guys make the template and save it, then when you guys want to send a newsletter or send something out, you go to the send newsletter. And then now you are picking the template to send right here. So all that custom one that we just made, here's that custom one. We picked that from the menu, and now that one is set to go. You pick who you want to send it to. So Frank's got 66 newsletter subscribers that I'm sure he emails every week. And he can send that out to them on the newsletter like that. Does anybody have any questions, I guess, about the general email sending process from BD? I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of different settings on there, but I just kind of want to go over that initial design and sending process for everybody before we have the discussion on drip emails today.
Ryan, a couple questions on that. This is Rich.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was doing something similar yesterday with the, modifying our thank you for subscribing, to our email list button or, thing.
Right.
And so I went to the default for the subscribe. There was no clone feature. It just said customize. So once I customize any of these templates, do I basically lose the original template if I want to go back and
No, so that's what I explained. So I think I actually mentioned it when I said 69 templates. Those 69 templates are still there, right?
Okay, so they'll all stay there.
They're all still there. That one, see that account activated that I cloned? It's right there.
Yeah, because I see the clone feature once you customize it, but when you go to use the template,
right?
Templates.
As soon as you edit it, it just adds it over here. So it's similar to a form. Like you can't. Okay. Unless you modify the form and save it as a custom one, you can't clone the form. It actually works exactly like a form.
Okay, cool. Now the other question was relative to the newsletter. Well, actually, in the I tried to put a video in the thank you for subscribing, and using the code thing, whatever. The video loaded in there, but then when I sent it or sent a test or sent a subscribe, the video never appeared. So if that makes sense. So not in the news.
Yeah, a lot of times the email server or services strip either videos and or images, like it does for mine, just so that it doesn't have any malware in there. And I have to actually approve that to download the images or videos. So it may very well be it's something like that in the settings for whatever email it came into, that it just blocked it or stripped it for your particular email receiving end, potentially. Now, I don't know if that's it, but I know for me, all of those are turned off for me, and I have to actually manually click on all the emails to download the images just once I recognize the the service.
Yeah, I'll check it out. It was just a Gmail email. But so the last final question on the newsletter thing is, I've tried to create these groups so I can create a newsletter and send it to one member level, another different newsletter, different member level. But so when you create these groups of contacts, it doesn't seem that intuitive as far as it's been a couple weeks since I was messing with this, but when I was doing it, I tried to pick a group, and I don't know if you have a second to go through how do you create these lists of.
Yeah, no problem. So and this is what you're talking about here, right? The tags or the groups or whatever on the side.
It looks different since I did it last time, I guess.
Okay, well, it's going to look different for everybody because sometimes if you don't have anybody that's submitted a form, like you have no newsletter subscribers, you don't have any lead form, you're not going to have this section up here. So that may be different. Realize that sending and composing an email is different than sending a newsletter. So that
I thought we could create our own groups. Basically,
I'll go over that real quick on how to do that. So just in generic thing, when you're sending out an email to a group of people, always use a send newsletter. If you go to compose email, it'll pop up and you can only send, I think, to 5 people at a time. Yeah, and it basically looks like this, right? Yeah, you can preview an email and add their recipient. So that's not what you want. You want a newsletter, send newsletter, and then it automatically has several items on the side here. So let me just go over each one individually here to tell everybody how those get there, where they come from. There is account status tag. So this one will automatically go there based on active members or on hold members or inactive members. It'll only show the members that you have. So it looks like Frank has all active and doesn't have any on hold or any inactive. Those will show if you have those. The contact tags to include, these appear when somebody submits a form. And so if you clone a form, if you clone a contact us form into a new form, if you have a get matched form or you clone the get matched form into a different form, anytime somebody submits a different form, you have that form ID basically, and the system knows that somebody submitted the form. And it will automatically add that person's email into that contact list. So for example, whether these are spam signups or real signups or whatever, he's got 66, right, newsletter subscribers that have clicked and signed up to his newsletter. There are 4 people who have filled in a lead form, and there is 6 people that have filled in his contact us form. So that automatically creates those groups based per form, and you'll have one. If anybody submitted anything, an email to any of those, you'll have a checkbox for each form on your website that people have filled out. The next one is
Okay.
go ahead.
I think I misspoke. Actually, when I was going back and looking at my account, I was looking at the smart list.
Yep, I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So the membership plan tags, again, is just by membership level. So it has all your membership levels here. And again, if you only have 3 membership levels, you're only going to have 3. If you have 25, like Frank here, you're going to have 25, right? So that just depends on how many membership levels you have. Now, there's a 4th one, which isn't in here, and I'm going to go show you how to do that, is the smart tags, and that's what Rich was asking about. So if everybody goes to the members, and just looks at their total member list, there's this new item in BD called smart tags. And so what you want to do is you want to search for some members. Let's say I want to have, and you can do any search form on this. So here's the search forms that we showed there. You can search by forms. Again, it already does that, so that doesn't make sense. You can do by membership plan, but it already does that. So that doesn't make sense. Let's say I want a top level category, everybody that's in business and personal services. I'm going to go ahead and search for everybody. I'm going to narrow it down from 4,800 member results, and I'm now down to 68 member results on there. So what you want to do, and you know what, Frank? And I don't see this on yours, and I'm wondering why.
What?
It normally has a create a smart list right here.
Yeah, see, that's where I got hung up. And if you go to smart list, if you kind of reverse engineer it, smart list, it doesn't really.
Well, so what it should have here is you should be able to create a smart list. And I know. Let me just go to Scott's here. Scott, are you in here yet? He was going to join us, I think. Let me just go to his real quick. I just want to see if because there should be in there. I don't know if they took it off or this may be one of those things they moved. I don't think they did, but yeah. So Frank, we'll have to figure out why yours is not doing that. But let me just go to his for an example. I'm going to search for motorsports category, right? I'm going to come in here, and once you get that list of results, right, it's narrowed down. You're going to go up here and you're going to go create smart list from current results. And what that's going to do is once you click the create smart list from current results, when you go to the emails and smart lists, in that it will have a list of like top category or whatever, and you can rename it. So here's an example of not active, right? It'll create a smart list for that particular specific list. And obviously you can, just like member list, you can click the list size, go in there and see who they are. Or now when you go into the emails, if you go to I'm going to go to send newsletter on his again, you're going to see a tier in here for smart list to include. So here's his not active one. So after you make that smart list, every smart list you make, you could have 20 different smart lists that will now be in this particular area. You can just click it and send it to those specifically filtered members from your smart list.
Now, how do we, so I'm following along now, how do we add people to that smart list? Like I just created one right now where you're talking for,
well, they have to be in there. It's not like a mailing. So the problem with this, it's not like a mailing list where you just like add a tag. You would want to add, you have to have something in there that you filtered by,
right.
that is in, that is in there. So it needs to be forms submitted, forms not submitted, some sort of transaction, their account status, the membership plan, their top level or sub level category, their verification status, how they joined, when they joined, their particular IP, that person's email address, or their name or ID number, right, or location. That you can't just add like john@smith.com to a.
I have I just created a smart list for all-star members, all-star guests. There's 3 people. Let's say if 5 more people join next week, How do I add that?
It'll automatically update that smart list. So it'll tag them in. If 5 more people join next week, it'll go from 3. The next time you go in there, it'll say 8.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of is like a list. It's a smart list, right? It automatically adds with that filter who those people are dynamically. You don't have to redo it. So I apologize.
Okay. Yeah. Based on that filter. Because in that way, for the lower or the free members, while they're still listed as a free, I can say, occasionally, hey, consider upgrading, whatever. But I don't want to send, if you're a free member, a month from now, I don't want to send you a message, hey, consider upgrading when you've already upgraded. So once you move out of that membership plan,
right,
and you're into a paid member, then that smart list would have taken you off that list.
Correct, because they're no longer in that group. It'll automatically take them off. Yeah, so it's almost better than some other marketing emails because you don't have to subscribe or unsubscribe when they buy and set up all these weird functions to do it.
So it is a smart list.
It is a smart list. It's smarter than I realized. So yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise, like in MailChimp or whatever, or in other email newsletter lists, you've got to figure out, okay, did Ryan upgrade? Did he downgrade last month? And I've got to, look at it.
You can screw it up pretty easy,
How's that?
I said, and you can screw it up pretty easy, right?
No, I'm pretty good at that. Yeah.
I just got one of those yesterday. It's like, it's something I've been a member of for like 5 years. All of a sudden I got something that's like, now's the perfect time to upgrade. And I'm like, upgrade? I've been there for 5 years. What are you talking about? But so that happens, when you get a lot of moving parts.
So, real quick, before, not really a question, but just an open question for the whole group. Based on that smart list, where do you guys see applications? Because the right out of the box is based on the membership level, an upgrade or messaging or whatever, or specials or promos. But I'm just looking at the member levels, I guess. What other list could you create based, I guess, on the join date, maybe, of like?
You could do, for example, what I've seen it used for is do by join date, right? And you could basically set up different tranches of blocks of people, right? And so maybe October. If they join in October, in November, they get the first, marketing email, and you send that out to the October people. And then next month you send it to November, and you just kind of switch which email you're sending to which tranche of email people. And you can kind of do your drip. That's a great segue kind of into today's topic. You can kind of set up that blocked drip layer effect there, where you're just sending that next email to that next tranche of smart list. October, November, December, and just kind of move it down the block. And then maybe after they've been there a year, they get all 12 months of little plugs or whatever. And then you remove.
And I'm just looking at my screen, 2 other applications I'm seeing, but see what you guys were thinking along as well. Like I see, the login date range. So if they haven't logged in 6 months, I guess you could say, hey, I noticed you haven't, logged in a while. How can we help you?
Yes.
And the last question along this line is, obviously under form submitted, that's kind of cool because based on what form, but under account status,
it does have the not signed up too. So for example, you could set up a not signed up for my newsletter. So you could say they haven't submitted that form. So then you can send out to everybody, hey, thanks for being part of Podcasters Directory. Notice you haven't signed up for our newsletter. There's a lot of great actionable content in there. Feel free to sign up at any time or whatever you want to do. And you can send it to the people who have not signed up for your newsletter.
How would you find that list of people that have not signed up?
So it's right there in the actual screen there of forms not submitted. So you would type in website newsletter sign up form, search for that, and so you would have a list of all. Obviously, you had 66 people, right? That I think signed up, so it should be 4,600 and something left. You make a smart list for that of people who have not submitted the newsletter.
Oh,
and
wow.
You can actually do multiple, right? You could say, I think, contact us. So now you can say, everybody who has not selected the contact us or the newsletter.
Well, the other one I like is all our features. If they've not submitted a coupon or a member article or a blog article or video or, audio, if they haven't, because they're probably not aware that they can, upload a video, which in our case we charge for all of those, incremental, add-ons, and we can put a message specific to that group that, and then the last one I was looking at was under the account status. I had this question come up in I've been listening to a couple of podcasting about membership, subscription economies and membership services, all that stuff, about being allowing your members to be able to put their account on pause. Any suggestions on how to do that? I see active, not active, on hold, I guess would be considered a pause if they're a paying member.
So this has nothing to do with their payment status, and so let me just go over that real quick on how to do that. So you could probably change the language and take a customization, but in your actual sign up page when they go to account management, and let me just log in as a member here on his site. In the account settings, normally in the site, you're going to go to manage listing and not manage listing. Sorry.
Billing, I think it is.
Yeah, where is it? I think it's down at the bottom here. Sorry. The account, and then it's billing details, right? Or manage account. Let me go see which one it is. I think it's manage account. So it's in manage account. It'll say, do you want to downgrade? So use links below to add or update your billing, and it just has close my account. There you can also turn on a thing where it says to downgrade, contact us or whatever. So you can also do that. But you can edit this widget. Bottom line, so what I'm saying is, and so instead of close my account, you could say, hey, if you'd like to pause your subscription, contact us or whatever. And then I've had some people that we just get rid of the close my account button totally, so they can't close their account. They have to contact you in order to cancel the subscription. And so, and now once they get in contact with you, what you need to do is go into find the person, right? Go into their payment history for that particular person. It's going to pop up with all the billing status and stuff for the subscription. So this is going to have to be a manual process. As of right now, it does not do this. You have to go to subscriptions, and there's going to be a subscription on here, and that was probably a bad one to do. Go grab the subscription, and then right here, if there's a subscription, it would say edit subscription, and you're going to click on that, and it's going to do a pop-up, and it's going to say next billing date. And so you can't put it on pause, like it just doesn't bill anything. What you can do is move the next billing date to like way in the future. To put them on hold. I'm going to put you on hold for 3 months. Let's say the next bill is due on January 1st. You could then just go in there and say April 1st and then save it. And so now they're, for all intents and purposes, quote, on hold for 3 months until April 1st, and then it's going to start charging them again on that same cycle.
Right. And does the system, or can you trigger an email that will say, hey, Ryan, your billing is coming up next month or in the next 10 days or something like that? Automate that so before April 1st, so they don't get, they think it's on pause until they decide to reactivate it. But if it's reactivated April 1st.
Yeah, you mean they're going to forget that it's coming?
Right.
Yeah. So another great question. So if everybody goes to finance and payment settings, everybody have their Stripe or whatever set up here. What you want to do this is kind of a hidden one, so it's a great question. Go to additional settings, and you go to billing email settings. Okay. Now, once you get in there, this is a fairly recent add-on or plugin or whatever. It's the billing email setup. So now here's the default stuff of what you can do, and I'll just kind of walk you through this because it's generally new, and I don't think we've gone over this in a webinar yet. Yeah. So there are 5 general billing email settings that you can set up in here. The new payments received, meaning that you got a payment, right, either for you or them. Upcoming payment reminder. So, Rich, this is what you were talking about. And then you now have 3 customizable billing reminders that you can set up as well. And so it's kind of a matrix here. These are the 5 emails. These are the 5 email templates, and they link straight to the template. So, again, you can have a different sternness of reminder or on here for each one of these reminders because they all have their own templates. And then these are the email templates for these other two. So you can then determine whether the member is getting that email, whether the admin is getting that email, and then whether if you have the add-ons for the PDF invoices, whether you are including the PDF invoice in said email. And then you can also determine when that email is sent. So you can, excuse me, you can say how many days, 1 through 14 days before due date. And then this one is how many days after, up to 90 days after that it was due that you send that out. So this one's set up as, by default, same day, 7 days, and 2 weeks after it's due.
Yeah, I was just looking at mine. This is genius. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Yeah, this is gold. Because right now mine is sent on, all of them are set for no.
Okay. Because I think if you don't turn them on.
Right, sure.
Yep.
Wow, that's huge because, so back to that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is Colin, right? So you want these all to be yes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. But, I'll go, now that I see it, I'll go and tweak all this and see if there's anything in the template I need to, modify. But to finish this off full circle, so go back to you. If Ryan, I put your membership on pause, and we say, to April 1st, then if I have this reminder set, 7 days before April 1st, we're going to get a reminder.
You can go turn them on.
Yeah.
So what you'd want to do too, so I'm just going to go do that. So not only do you have to pause or extend their membership if they're going to be on pause, since they're not paying, you probably want them to not be active, right? Or to go on hold, right? So all you have to do is you can either do it here in bulk actions, change membership status, account status. You go apply, you say on hold and save, or you can do it here in the quick edit. You can simply, when they open up in quick edit, you just say, hey, you are on hold and save.
Yeah, I've done that for a couple of members where, they went in and actually, the only option they saw was to close their account, cancel their account. I'm like, they really just, so I downgraded them just to a free member, so they can log in and, stuff, but not get all the bells and whistles. But, and I'm noticing this too on the screen where it just has member. I had a guy sign up for a paid membership yesterday for an annual membership at Rockstar level, and his name just came up as member. How did that bypass? How is it that he could not? That he, bypassed where he didn't fill in his name and first and last name, John Smith, and just came up as a.
So there's a couple settings on this. I don't know what it is for yours, Rich, but let me just type in member here, just to try to find this one. So there is a setting in here. I'm sorry, that's a text. That's a text label. I apologize. Let me open this up. Member.
Because I thought all of my forms were set for.
Or maybe it was an advanced setting. Okay, so there is actually here a default first name value. So if a member does not have a first name defined, this value will be placed where the first name would be in email templates. So since we're talking email stuff here, so this would be like, hello, you instead of their name. So it's like this would be hello there. That's what that's for. So if you want that something other than there, you can go to that. Just type in member in your settings here, and you can do that. Here's another one that this may be disabled for you. It says disable auto-populating contact info from sign-up. So by default, the system will use the billing information entered upon sign-up to autofill the contact details. You can set it to 1 to disable that during account creation. So this may be on for you, that it's not pulling over that email information over from the sign-up. And then the other alternative is that you may not have it in there because you are not grabbing that information from them. And most likely, this is probably the case that the credit card, the way the credit card form works for sign up, it's asking for a full name variable, the full name, because that's what they need from your credit card. that is different than the first name, last name variable that is in the actual member listing. So if they're just paying by credit card and putting email and password or whatever, or just signing up with their credit card full name, that may not actually have first name or last name in the system to pull over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. But I'm just thinking, wouldn't he have, when he's joining as a member, fill in his first and last name and then later the credit card information?
Well, I mean, it depends how you have it set up. So I'm just going to go to Frank's here real quick.
And I did go to my advanced settings while you're doing that, and the enable member building automation was turned off, so I turned it on.
Okay.
So that might help.
Let me see. So we're going to create a listing. All his are paid. So let me just see.
You can try mine. I have an unpaid.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to look at the paid. See how this one. See how it's just enter an email and password, and then it goes.
One at the bottom, Ryan.
Was that?
There's a free one at the bottom. Remember that little link?
Okay. Well, it's all the same. The free one is just this, right? It's just email and password. So there's no name in there. When they sign up for email and password, it creates an account. There's no name. And then this is card name. That's full name. You still don't get the first name. So that's why the first name and last name is normally in the forms that are required. Right. And when they go into their account for the first time, let me just go back here real quick. When they go into the account for the first time, their first name is going to be empty, and it's going to require them, since it's normally, they're required by default, it's going to require that first name and last name to be entered in there before they can save that contact details first form. It'll flag it. So if we go in here, a lot of them I turn it off sometimes because, for example, if we did that on Frank's, just because it blocks them from submitting it. Sometimes if it's just a company name, that may not be necessary. But this is normally starred, and it'll ask for those to fill out before you can actually do that. And looks like I didn't finish my profile. So if you guys have not watched webinar number 20, where we go into the help your walkthrough thing, feel free to do that because it's exactly what this is showing right here on the site here. Trying to get me to fill the entire thing in. But that's where you would do that for the first name, last name, and fill it in. So, does that help?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I was looking at my form while you're doing that, and it's replicating the same thing, just email and password. Would you recommend best practice or protocol to change the sign up form to include their first and last name in addition to just their email?
No, well, it's catch 22, right? I mean, you get more information, but it's more stuff for them to fill out to not sign up, right?
Yeah.
It kind of depends on whether you think you're lacking that information when they initially sign up. If you have a good onboarding process, or require it when they go into their profile, they're going to have to fill it in to go in. So let me just talk about a couple ways around that for anybody who wants to edit that. You can obviously edit those forms to add those particular items in there. So the ones you're looking for here are the member sign up free and member sign up paid. And so if I go into customize either one of those, you're going to see in the field sets you have the name, and it is going to be let's see, CIP, metadata, email confirm. Oh, sorry, it's down here on credit card. It's on here as first name. So sometimes some of them, I think some of the old ones, it used to just say full name. Right, and then it'll be in the system as a variable. You notice this one, at least for Frank's, and I can't remember if I changed this for him or not. So yours may say full name. This is saving as the first name variable. So this is going to be the full name from the credit card, but it's saving as the first name. So now, if you can obviously add new fields and add in first name and last name, but you want to make sure that you're using the same thing that you're using for the contact details member form. So let me just go into that one real quick and kind of show you. In here's the first name and last name. So since it's saving that credit card as first name, it's going to automatically, for Frank's, it's going to show up if they pay and through a credit card, it's going to show that full name right here because they've already added that into that first name variable from the credit card one. If yours says full name and you're saving it to that variable, it's going to be blank because it's a different variable. It's not going to pull it over. Just realize if you are using the first name variable, it's going to have their full name under the first name, and their last name is not going to be in the last name. They're going to have to still manually go in there and go take out their last name, add it into their last name, because it splits it up into two different variables on this form.
Yeah, my paid form online just shows name on card.
Okay.
Field.
Yeah. So again, yours isn't going to port over because this is not name on card, right?
Yeah.
But you can add, so just to go back to yours, can you add the fields? You certainly can. You can add this exact system variable, this exact thing, just with all. You can copy and paste all these different fields onto that credit card form. Add new fields, make it required, right? Make sure you say in the settings, make it required, and say show in input view yes to make sure it shows. And then that'll be on your form. You'll be required to fill it out, and you'll get the name, and then it'll be in the system for that person, and it'll auto pre-fill these in their form because it's already in that variable.
All right. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. These are all great questions. We've kind of touched on a lot of the all the email stuff here. Let me go ahead and get into the presentation today because we're kind of an hour into it here. Can you guys see the PowerPoint here?
Yes.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about onboarding drip email marketing. When it drips, it pours. Normally when it rains, it pours, but today it's when it drips, it pours. And so when you drip those emails into your clients' inboxes and you properly format the content using the eloquent words of the answer man of life, otherwise known as Frank, and you have great words in there, you're going to make sales, and it's going to pour and rain money into your account when you properly string those emails together. So that's why we titled it this. We're going to go over email marketing for drip. And again, we were in the onboarding series here that we're talking about. We've talked about in previous weeks about some other things that onboarding does for you. It allows you to have, allowed to make tours, welcome messages. You can do product pop-up messages, do banners and warnings for issues, notify them on new products, do contextual messaging based on where they're at on the site. Or again, if you're talking email marketing, provide an email newsletter based on those different conditions or tags, which we talked about a little bit earlier in the presentation today in terms of the smart tags with BD. So you can do a lot of stuff with onboarding. We've been going over these methods over the last couple of weeks. So if you go to webinar number 19, we talked about tours and overlays. Training. We talked about training during that. Number 20, last week we talked about the tours and overlays with the help year that you actually kind of saw a few minutes ago when I logged into Frank's site. And then we'll be talking pop-ups probably next week. And today we're going to talk about drip emails. So all onboarding methods for you that you can do to try to get people more involved and into your directory. And again, this is what we went over last week. And if you guys have not seen that, go to directoryvideos.com. You can watch the entire process there. And we also walk through a Zapier integration with your email system to try to automate some campaign stuff with an autoresponder if you have it. That was on the last hour of last week. If you did not see that, you can go watch that on YouTube as well. So today we're going to talk about drip marketing. That word, you may not be familiar with drip marketing, but there's some other words that get thrown around for this type of process. Drip marketing, automated email campaigns, life cycle emails sometimes is used. Autoresponders, that's a generic term for you get something signed up and then they start getting the series. The marketing automation. Welcome automation series, drip feed content, and behavioral emails, meaning you do something and you get some email content in return to try to cause you to make an action or make a decision. So in baseline, automation is basically that sequence of emails that you can automatically send to your subscribers, for example, when they sign up for your newsletter or when they sign up for your BD membership level. So perhaps one email will go out as soon as someone signs up. And you can kind of see this on the right-hand side here, and we'll be going over this in just a little bit with my SendFox program to show you an example of that. But let's say one email goes out as soon as somebody signs up, and then another one goes out 3 days later with one more going out the next weekend, for example. Or you can have emails, if you're using another autoresponder system that has this capability in there that integrates with some other cookies or scripts that kind of tag people based on actions or visits or whatever. You can base it based on triggers or action the person has actually performed up, like signing up for your service or whoever made a purchase or hasn't returned for several weeks. And we actually kind of showed that how you can do that with the smart tags and BD system as well. But you can set them up to send out for different behavioral type performance items. And then each time that drip email gets sent out, it comes from a queue of already written emails. So in theory, you don't have to actually do any manual labor at all. There's no, you don't have to rewrite it every single time. It's already pre-written, it's already pre-sequenced, and already pre-thought out in terms of what you're sending and when. And they can even be, personalized to their name, their company info, et cetera. And everybody, I think, hopefully knows that you can add those variables in your BD system, at least with those. And again, from your CRM or your autoresponder, if you have that for a particular sign up. And you can automate that and add that in there so it's more personalized. But the real beauty of the drip emails is that if you set it up properly, it all happens automatically, right? Based on those triggers or user segments that you define. And you don't have to do anything. And then you can start to see the fruitful benefits just based on somebody else's action and nothing that you're actually doing yourself other than getting them to sign up for your BD platform, for example. So, a thoughtful set of those drip emails can be the perfect, way to remind people to buy your product, teach them how to use your tool or directory, features once they've purchased it, and possibly to get new subscribers up to speed on your newsletter, your product, or other upsells or options that you have that they haven't purchased. And so we talked about that a few minutes ago as well at the beginning of this webinar, how you can set that up to send out to people in BD that have not filled out your newsletter form or have not contacted you yet, or who have not done filled out the product form, right? Who haven't submitted the product. So a lot of stuff in there, BD, that you can actually do on your own. So I'm gonna show you this live here real quick, just as a quick demonstration. I'm not trying to sell you SendFox here, but it has some built-in automation stuff that I have, just to show you a quick example of that. And some of them are pretty simple. Some of them can be pretty complex. For SendFox, they actually have a thing where you can start with a template. And then as soon as you do that in their automation assistant, it basically auto creates a series of welcome emails with timelines and stuff like that. You can kind of see that email series, an example of 3 emails here. That you can see how many were sent, how many were opened, clicked, and unsubscribed, how many bounced. And you can set up the delay and each email automatically in those email series. So let me just go ahead and show you an example of that. I'm logged in as mine real quick. I'm not trying to sell this thing here. It does have a deal if you guys are interested in doing that, but I just want to show you how simple it can be for some email platforms. So here's an automated series. I just want to create an automation series. And let's just say I want to do one for my BD webinar. Oops, let me go back there again. I messed up the one thing I was supposed to do. I want to start with a template. Can't even watch my own slides. There we go. So I'm just going to skip. You can say what your name is, your URL. This has some built-in stuff where it'll automatically pull some of your social media posts into the newsletter if you want. So you don't have to even make any content. If you've been posting stuff on Facebook, it can automatically pull that in. But I'm going to just go ahead and skip that. I just want to kind of show you the process here. And let's say I want to do a welcome email series. So all I have to do is click that welcome series. I can label it for my BD, all you guys who have signed up for the webinar, and I just click OK. And it just automatically makes a feed and series here. And so now it kind of already automatically sets up, and you can now set it up for when. So since the last one was sent, since the last one was opened or clicked, you can rename that. You can basically delay them out, but now you can just edit that email, right? And you can go in here, edit that particular email. You get it all set up. You can add in any images. You can add in any customized fields that you want. So let's say I want to add, your name in there. So again, I say, hello, you, or whatever you put in your template there. And then you got that. You can add images. Now you save it, and it's all ready to go. And so now when somebody signs up with your newsletter, or if you use that Zapier integration that we showed last week, when somebody signs up to your BD site, and you parse that email and name into here, it can automatically add their name and their email address to your welcome series. And as soon as they sign up to your BD site, they just start getting these email drip campaigns, right, with different content in there, and they just get it at the preset time delay. So now we can set it at 24 hours in there, and they get that in one day after the first one, or you can set that obviously however fine-tuned you want. So that's just one example. Again, there's a lot of other systems that are a lot more complex or whatever. This is one of the simplest ones I've seen to kind of get it up in there. But now you can kind of track some stats even right here and see where people are at which point. Let's say everybody's unsubscribing at email 2. Maybe this was a bad email. Like apparently they did not like that content, right? Because everybody's unsubscribing when they got that one. But you can kind of get some metrics off from that. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So it's just an example of a drip email campaign on how you can set that up. So let's just go over the steps on how you would need to do this for making your onboarding emails. So the first one is you want to identify your target audience for the actual drip email system. So maybe a user subscribes to your newsletter, or maybe they sign up for your base package, or maybe you have a different email chain, whether they sign up for your basic one or your medium or your advanced or premium level. And you can set up different ones for different people. So you got to figure out who you're sending the target audience to. And then you send them a welcome email via your email campaign. So you just got to figure out what that message is based on who's getting it, what triggers you're doing that. So you just got to put some thought into that. The second thing you need to do is craft your message. So now that you know who you're targeting, you need to generate a message that's helpful and grabs their attention, right? So as everybody knows, BD's set up with templates. That's kind of nice, right? You don't actually have to do anything. It's kind of got some baseline templates there, but realize they're very rudimentary, right? They're very basic. They don't add any content about who you are, who your website is, what your cause is, what's your purpose, why should they come back? Any of that stuff that the crafting of that message for that particular audience is just not in there. So you need to think about who you're targeting and how you're going to generate that message. And so, what do you want that user to do, or what do you want that user to learn from getting that email? You have to have a end result, a call to action, a purpose. And when they read that email, what are you expecting them to get from or do from that message? You need to put some thought into that and add the appropriate content into there. And then make sure that copy that you're adding in there, it's clear, actionable, and obviously attractive. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. Sometimes people have seen it's a little bit difficult in there, at least right now, until they do the drag and drop a little bit more to make those emails look good other than just plain text. I'm going to provide you guys with some resources today to hopefully that will help you with that. And then the biggest thing I would say is don't get hung up on design right now. I mean, you could literally just leave it as is with BD and just make those plain text emails. It's the old launching is probably better than doing nothing. You could take a year to make sure those emails look perfectly pristine, but that would have been a year that you're not actually trying to send any content or get any actions from your people. So don't get hung up on the design. You can always improve that later. And again, go back and edit the emails later, but just get some stuff in there. Start the automation, start that process, and you can design the heck out of it later, and just change it up as you go. Third thing is you need to plan out your campaign. So make sure that not only do you have to have that content for each email, if they're going to be a string of emails like that, you need to make sure that the copy in each email flows together and strings along with the other ones. So decide how you're going to measure the results, right, of whether that's effective or not. Is it going to be the subscribe? Is it going to be the bounce rate? Is it going to be action items from said email? So how many emails am I going to send, when, and in what order? So that kind of gets to all those the details of the thing I was showing you with the the login of the emails. It's kind of like, what is this? How, what's the delay? What's the order of emails? How do I line those messages up? How many am I going to have? Am I going to have 3 or am I going to have 10? So those are all the things you want to, think about when you're planning out your campaign. And then the fourth thing is, and the eventual thing you want to get to is you got to start your campaign. So once you've identified your audience, you're crafting your message, you kind of planned out your campaign, know what you're going to do, you got to actually start sending it. And then once you start sending that, you're going to start getting some, hopefully, actions, some conversions, some feedback from people if you're asking for that. and obviously you're going to get some results. And so the last step on that of the onboarding thing is you got to evaluate and adjust. Don't just set it and forget it. You got to adjust that. So if if you aren't getting as many click-throughs as you want, maybe you want to try to rewrite your calls to action. If you're not meeting the conversion rate goals, with your sale closing email or wherever that's at, maybe it's at the end of that email trail. Maybe you just need to be more educational up front and not be too salesy at the beginning, so that they get used to the content and want to open up the other ones. By the time they get to the sales one, maybe at the end, then they're more likely to buy. So maybe it's the order of the emails that you have in there. But the bottom line is you want to evaluate, adjust, and then repeat that again and again, and adjust anything in these particular 5 steps once you learn whatever you learn here. Maybe you have it too generic and it's going to everybody. Maybe you decide to make a new onboarding email trail for the premium members, vice everybody, because you can't really tell all the premium members what they get with their premium stuff because you're sending to everybody. So the generic people don't care, and they all unsubscribe because you started to talk about all the cool stuff on premium. They thought you were trying to push it down their throat, and they unsubscribed. So just think about that. That's kind of the process you walk through on that in there. Any questions on that from anybody? Does that make sense to everybody in terms of that automation piece? All right. So what I want to do next is just kind of give a couple examples of all of these for everybody as well, just to kind of give them a visual of what that would look like. So obviously your BD emails probably don't look like this, but here's an example. I'm going to use a company called Truebill. And this is kind of what it looks like on desktop or the mobile version.
Hey,
Ryan,
I'm trying to get to my microphone, switch the screens and everything to get to the question. So kind of rapid fire series. So one is, so if say we set up 10 email sequence and, because I believe in, getting it started and then, tweaking it later. So say if you decide you want to tweak, the last 5 emails or make changes in, 5 through 9. If you haven't got number 5 yet, this is kind of a dumb question just to confirm. So if you have your own only 3, when it comes around to 5, obviously you're going to get the most updated version of that, right?
Exactly. So as soon as you edit the email, if they haven't got this yet, whatever, if they're on email 1 and this is like a week later, 2 weeks later, and somewhere in those 2 weeks you edit this email, they haven't been sent that email, right? Yeah. So as soon as you edit that, it'll throw out the new one. Yeah.
Okay. And the other piece is, this is more like best practices kind of question, or how do you figure this out? So if we're going to send a series of 5 welcome emails with some calls to actions, what have you, how do you integrate that with or not overlap with, if you're going to do a monthly newsletter or newsletter twice a month? Now all of a sudden you could end up getting 2 emails in the same day because your newsletter goes out on the 15th. You signed up on the and your welcome on board comes email number 3, and you get 2 emails from me the same day. There's no way to kind of manipulate that or anything, or manage that?
Well, again, it depends on which one you do. The answer actually is yes. So there's some of the more complex ones that, maybe it costs $50 to $100 a month, have a bunch of if-then variables inside of their drag and drop thing. So you can set it up. And again, this is where it gets very complex. It's almost like if you don't have a marketing person that does this for you, you can totally get yourself, buried into a corner or work like 3 weeks consistently on this, trying to nitty set it up. But they do have that. So you would basically say, if already getting this email responder, do not send newsletter or whatever, or if already sent email today, send tomorrow. They do have those kind of if then statements on some of those Gucci ones.
But I guess for the short term, as you're kind of just growing it, potentially, I guess you could look at your SendFox and say, here's 3 people that are getting their number 4 email today. So I'm going to hold off on their newsletter from the newsletter list. And
Yeah, I think it comes down to segmenting content too, right? So maybe your newsletters is not don't talk about the features that are in the welcome email series newsletter, right. And so it's different content, right? So it's not going to be as offensive.
Yeah. So if my newsletter is welcoming on board new members or Black Friday deal, whatever, then there's no overlapping in the content. And then the last piece on the SendFox, are you suggesting we could use that as you're going to probably go into it in a minute, use that as a newsletter service as well, or use the BD or hybrid?
Well, you could do it as a newsletter service as well, right? And so I like this one, this service, because it's more of a content provider type thing. It does have RSS feed stuff where it can actually pull stuff from your RSS feed. So if everybody has the add-ons, every product post type, every podcast type, everything in your thing has an RSS feed. And you can actually set up in here on your settings all of your particular web presences and pull that automatically into the newsletter. So, for example, I have 2 RSS feeds off for my Hudsonville one, the articles feed and just the general feed. You can add a podcast URL, a YouTube channel. You can add in all your Twitter profiles and Facebook. And it'll automatically make a newsletter off from the last week's content of articles that are posted on your BD site, all of your latest podcast and YouTube postings in the last week, and then all your Twitter feeds. It'll automatically make it's called Smart Pages, and it'll just automatically get the best of my updates delivered to your inbox, and it literally just makes that feed for you. You enable that feed page. And it literally I just grab the directory toolkit tags or whatever you have in your content. You can set it up, and then
it almost looks like you're cheating there if you do that.
Yeah, and so I don't have to. You could set this up and you can subscribe, and you don't do anything. It just sends it out every week. Get the best of my content, and it just adds in all the stuff from your site from last week, and you don't do anything.
Wow. Well, then what am I gonna do for the rest of the day then?
I don't know. This is what you're going to do. This is brand new. It's kind of off topic, but actually, Rich, I know you like this kind of stuff. So they just also added this one in the referrals campaign. They also allow you to add in the footer a referral promotion thing. So it'll basically look like this, where it says share to win rewards, invite friends to join our email list, and you can share that. It then makes a rewards page for everybody where they can go in and see how many referrals they have. They can share their link. Share it via email right there, via social, and then it has the leaderboard to see who's had the most referrals for your newsletter or your onboarding campaign, whatever you want there. So they just added that in there.
Yeah, I looked at SendFox, but I didn't know it had all these features.
Yeah. So it does have a lot of cool stuff in there. And it does have a $49 lifetime deal on there right now. So if anybody's looking at going ahead and buying that, you guys can just click on that link right there if you guys are interested in buying it. But it's $49 lifetime, one-time payment right now, and I think it's worth it. It's about 5,000 subscribers, unlimited sends per month. $49 lifetime one-time buy. So if you guys are interested in doing that, you can click on that and go take a look at it. But that's kind of off topic there. But I know there was a lot of things that you guys potentially would be interested in there. So, all right, let me go back to the presentation here. So I just want to go over a couple of different emails here for what those different things look like. So this is an example of a welcome email, right? Where it's nice and bright. It's got a lot of content there. It's not just like welcome to the BD site. Here's your login link. It has some additional content in here. And so here's an example of what you may want it to look like. It looks good on mobile, looks good on the desktop. And so you just have content in there to tell them how maybe some feature sets, some things that they maybe haven't thought of, or just a reminder of things that that your site does do. If they get the email a couple of days after they sign up, they may have forgot how awesome your directory was, and then this welcome email reminds them of some of the features that you can avail yourself of on your directory. Here's another example from them. onboarding emails. So again, maybe it's not a welcome email. Maybe this is the follow-on onboarding type thing, where you're kind of doing some targeted sells or maybe some small goals for new clients on how to use your directory. And those sells could be, it doesn't have to be paying anything. It could be getting them involved with your brand. So it could be downloading your an app if you made one, or signing up for a webinar, or maybe it is subscribing to the premium subscription, or maybe just downloading an ebook or something that you have available. So these onboarding emails, and here's just an example again from that same company. Different look, right? It's not boxed, now it's layered with rows, but it just kind of tells them how what they can do through the service or whatever, and just some if it's not features, it's just something that they want them to do, a call to action, or just some other information type items. And then usually a third type of other email here are some engagement emails, and these are maybe more of the sales type things. Is maybe it's engaging them, telling them something like, so for example, Rich, we talked about that. If you're saying, hey, maybe people that have submitted a product, right? Maybe you're doing it, have submitted a product, and now you're sending this engagement email saying, I noticed you added a product. What you can also add podcasts, right? And so you can just basically engage them by saying, you've done X, why don't you do Y? Or you've done X, but did you do XA, XB, and XC? Because you didn't really fully know what you could do with the products. Did you email your client base and tell them about your new product? And they may be like, no, I didn't email everybody. I didn't realize. Yeah, let me do that. And so you may just be kind of prodding them by some engagement there. And so if you do that in a drip campaign, you basically invite them to return to your site and do something, or maybe this is the sales piece. So here's one I got the other day. I literally got this one yesterday, so I just threw this in there. We talked about Publer before. You can actually get that on directorytoolkit.com if you want. But here's an example of a email I got from them yesterday. They just said, hey, schedule videos to YouTube channels. They basically showed me, it's just a big image. It's almost a spitting image of the one template I showed you. They just have a nice, big, engaging image and have some text on there. And they literally just have a button that says, learn more, i.e. click me now. Right. You go to your directory and you entice them in with the picture. They kind of just get the gist of what it is. You don't even have to tell them everything in the email. And it's practice probably better that you don't, because now they need to click the button to see the rest of it. And they're like, that looks great. Scheduling YouTube videos with Publer. Now I can just auto schedule YouTube posts ahead of time. I can do my entire month of YouTube posts and head to the islands for the next month while it auto drips my YouTube feeds automatically for me, right? And so you just click on that to learn more. So that's just an example of one of those engagement emails I got yesterday. So what I wanted to go over for everybody today is some examples of templates that I'm going to give everybody the download to, the HTML and how to do these. I'm not, no joke, I was scouring the internet for email templates for a couple days, trying to find the best email template that just looks good out of the box with brand directories. Obviously, a lot of them have different HTML elements in there. They maybe do or don't look good on mobile or desktop, or kind of break, I guess, how brand directories does it. I found a good example of all three of these, or a process to do that. And so what I've done today is I've made an example one of each one of these for you guys. On the that you guys can just grab the HTML code from that and add to your Brilliant directory. So here's an example of the welcome email. You got the desktop version on the right, what that looks like on desktop, and then the mobile version on the left. So as you can see, they look good on desktop and mobile. And here's an example of the welcome email. Let me just go ahead and throw that up there for you guys. Go ahead and get ready to click the screen. I'm going to add these on there. You guys can just go download those templates there, and feel free to click that welcome email. Let me know if that opens up to the site to grab the HTML for you guys that are here. Did that work for you guys?
Not.
No.
No. Oh, there it goes. Maybe. And that's your mouse.
It worked.
Say it again.
Worked here, Ryan.
It worked. Okay.
Um.
So let me let me just go ahead. I got that in there for the piece for you guys. Go ahead and click that. I'm going to go through it in the chat room as well there. So
Yeah, maybe in the chat.
I thought that would be an easier way to do that. I'll just throw in the chat there as well. There we go. All right, and then so that's the welcome email. Here's an example of the onboarding email, a little bit similar to, but it has that list, that list of onboarding stuff, maybe the different feature sets or whatever in the bottom with that engaging picture. Again, mobile on the left here, desktop on the right for the onboarding email. So let me grab that for you guys and throw that on there as well.
Yeah, it's working now. I had my screen maximized and it didn't work.
Okay.
But yeah.
And let me go grab the second one here.
And this is awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, because
there's the second one, and then I have the third one is the engagement email. So this is the sales one or the call to action one. Again, just a little bit different look there. Just with the picture, a little bit of text, and then the button. Again, I guess desktop on the left this time and mobile on the right, but that's what it looks like for that one. And let me just go ahead and throw that one in there as well. There's the third template. Let's leave that up there for a second.
Yeah, because you were talking about brilliant directories just having generic email templates, and they kind of obviously have to because there's so many different, directories and variables. But I didn't even realize it till I was, trying to manipulate the subscriber button that wasn't working and this and that. People subscribe to the newsletter, and I subscribe myself, and the inbox to the recipient just says one line: "Thank you for subscribing to our newsletter." That was the entire template.
Right. Right. So a lot of people don't realize that, or if they don't walk through all the different things to see what everybody's getting or whatever. That's why I always recommend everybody, use the system, walk through all the different steps, sign up for stuff, see what you're getting, what you're not getting. Is it getting blocked? Is it not getting blocked, etc. So that's the stuff that we're going to go over.
Now, dumb question, I guess. With these, we just can put these in SendFox.
Well, the only caveat, I guess, for SendFox is that one's kind of set up to be more text-based or just images bolded or whatever. There is I guess I would kind of equate it to BD. Their upgrade on the lifetime thing is to upgrade to be able to do the HTML add-on. It's like $10 a month to be able to do that. So this will not work. These will work in BD. It will not work in the SendFox because that's kind of more just I guess markup language, I guess, is what that uses, unless you get the HTML thing. Let me just go back to the SendFox real quick. I'll show you what I mean by that. And so if you go to the emails, and so you guys probably got this email today. I'll just go into the one I already sent. So here's an example. It's just more you highlight it. It does have the what you see is what you get editor in here, right? For these items, you can add links and images and bold and background and add buttons and stuff. But you can't just cut and paste HTML into the thing unless you pay for that monthly upgrade for HTML. So it's a little bit limiting, but I think this generally looks good anyway with basic content out of here. So. And again, you can't beat $49 lifetime anyways.
Yeah.
So
that's you did use SendFox to send us the email for the webinar?
Yeah, this is what I use for the emails, yeah.
It looks great.
All right, I'm just looking at the time here today too. I know, Bob, I pulled you in specifically for the thing. What I'd like to do maybe is just go briefly over the DKIM stuff at the end, but I don't think we're going to get into the in-depth stuff today. We'll hold that off till the next webinar because that's probably more than the half hour we have time left anyway today. I don't want to cut that one short if anybody's interested. So, Bob, are you going to be heartbroken if I don't go into detail on that stuff today?
Oh, come on. I can't talk about nerdy stuff for hours on end.
I gotta go.
Yeah. I just stopped by to see if Frank
See you
got
later.
over the November 3rd hangover yet. That's the only reason I came by.
Ryan, what's the free offer?
Frank just left. He had to go pick up his dog at 3, so I think so. You'll have to ask him the hangover question on Facebook. I think he has. I think he's happy. So go ahead, Rich.
What's this mentioned in your because I've got your email reminder obviously for webinar 21 here. This free offer for software to capture email campaigns from any source.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the DKIM stuff. I still got to go over that. So I'm gonna run out of time for the DKIM stuff today, which is fine because we kind of talked for about an hour on the BD side with all this stuff, and that's all good. But it kind of pushed back a little bit at the beginning today. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go into that next. So I just wanted to let Bob know if he was hanging on for that stuff or whatever. We may not go fully into that stuff today. We'll probably hold off till next week. Bob, is there anything on that you did want to talk about or mention or whatever on that while we have you here this week or whatever? Did you have that before or done that for any of your stuff, or you said you did not?
Yeah, no, not specifically on BD, but the best practices associated with this stuff is really doesn't matter. If you're using an external tool like SendGrid, I use both SendGrid and Mailgun for some of my projects. Either or, and SendGrid and Mailgun are the two 800-pound gorillas in the mass email marketing space.
Right.
They dominate the market just between those two vendors alone. So both of them are very efficient in terms of setting up the settings they're talking about here. So we don't need to get into the nuts and bolts today. And actually, if you're using either one of those services, when you're setting up your account through their dashboard and the domain that you're intending to use for cold email campaigns specifically, but just general transactional emails, I run them all through those. It doesn't really matter, because when you get to scale on a BD site, you're going to be sending hundreds and potentially thousands of emails in a given week. And most typical email servers are really not intended to be run that sort of volume. So before you know it, you're going to need to be in an external email system, and that's where those settings are really going to come into play. They're not really optional at that point. If you want,
right. So, and I think everybody knows this for the email stuff. You only get 1,500 emails per day, right? So obviously that adds up. If you're doing 1,500 emails a day and you're doing it for all 30 days of the month, I mean, that's 45,000 emails a month, right? But you can only do a certain amount per day. So it's not like you can send it to a larger list in one day. It'll actually have to break it up. And so there are certain limitations to that, obviously. So like Bob was saying, if you get to any number of volume or whatever, this is probably not going to cut it for you. With BD, and then everybody I think knows, it uses SendGrid, and you can go ahead and get a separate SendGrid account and add your SendGrid API into the integrations here in the settings. And then when you do that, it'll actually you'll have unlimited or whatever your SendGrid limitations are on that, but you have to buy and connect to their API key, add that in here. And then that kind of gets around that 1,500 per day limit. But what Bob was saying is you may get to a point where you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to do this to avoid the limitations here. But now you're really using the SendGrid API, and you could go do that outside of BD through another server, or you're not using SendGrid and you're using something else like he said Mailgun or whatever email marketing system that you're using. So
yeah, I even use SendGrid for some of my clients for their WordPress sites, as far as forums and so forth, sending out, and it works out pretty well.
Yeah,
using their API.
Okay.
So, Ryan, do you use MX Toolbox at all?
Yeah, that was part of the presentation I was going to talk about. So you can go check your DMARC settings and SPF and DKIM stuff.
That's a good one-stop shop for all the issues you're talking about here. And they've got an SPF checking tool in there. You had that comment in the BD group and you responded to it. And you made note that the SPF record on that particular example looked a little whacked, if not broken. So that SPF checking tool is great, because when you get into trying to stack multiple SPF records for different vendors, you're using include statements and they get convoluted if you've never done an SPF record with an include statement. That tool will really help you kind of sort it out.
Yeah, and so this is what he's talking about. That, and again, we're not going to get into that today. So when the multiple stacked SPF records with includes and deliverability authentication alignment talk that we just went over, if that went over your head, please disregard until next week. We will go into that next week, and that's part of the issue, I think, sometimes in terms of deliverability for at least the BD system. But we'll get into that next week. But this is what he's talking about for the
Ryan?
Yes.
Are you doing it next Thursday on Thanksgiving or the following week?
That's a great question. We're in November. What month is this? Yeah, it'll be in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
You have a turkey session.
Yeah, but hey, quick question on SendGrid. So I just changed my email instead of coming, from the system, whatever, to a Gmail. And so I set up actually, I have my domain name at GoDaddy, so I had them try to set up a email service, but they went through Outlook and through, and it could get forwarded, but I couldn't reply, and I don't use Outlook, I just use Gmail. Google, formerly known as G Suite, now Google Workspace, and it's pretty sweet. So it basically comes right from BD into my box, have multiple alias email addresses for everybody, all that good stuff. My question is that, and tech support wasn't able to really address it, didn't seem like, but my default, my admin email address is like, hello@podcastersdirectory.com, which if you send an email directly there, it comes in my inbox, no problem. But all of my admin, like reminders or automated emails, it comes into my Gmail, into the Google Workspace, but it comes as a spam. It says warning because it's coming from me to me.
Right. So I have several clients that had this, asked BD, and they said that it's only because you're sending it from you to you, right, and that nobody else is going to see that that big yellow pop-up warning or that big warning spam thing. Yeah. Nobody else is going to see it because they're not right, sending it to their own that account. So
yeah, I confirm that, but just like it's really just annoying. So I wonder if there's like a hack around, like can I just white label it or say don't mark it as spam? I tried to filter.
I don't know. I think that
create a filter
on the internet. I think that was everybody's frustration on that for Google that they can't turn that off. I think, but could be wrong.
I try to create a filter. I use Gmail filters, and it says, don't send it to spam, but it's not sending it to my spam filter. It's just coming in, on my mobile device. Every freaking email that I get from, my own admin, I can't turn off that block, huh?
Not that I've seen when I looked it up. I mean, even BD said that. They're like, hey, that's just a known spamming technique where they send it from the box. They send it from everybody's email and then send it to their own email. Like it's going to let it through if it's from their own email to their own email, just to try to squeak it through. So they kind of flagged that now is what they were saying. So,
the other hack around, which I used to have, was my admin or website email was just like a Gmail, podcastersdirectory@gmail.com.
Right. But then it's sending it from that instead of your other directory.
Exactly. Yeah, so I guess. All right. Never mind.
All right. All right, so let me go back to the next section here. So this is what Rich was asking about. So now that we have, you kind of know on your email sequences how to do that. And again, you use your whatever service you want to do those automated sequences with. The real question is how, what content, see other people's, responders or whatever. So what I want to go over today is a service that it's called Spivio, and it actually allows you to create email names, basically an email that you can use to sign up for popular websites, for your competitors' websites, for whatever you want, and it actually captures all of the email strings on that particular email sequence so that you can visually see them, go back and learn from them, potentially, grab some marketing methods from said email. So it could be clickfunnels.com or basically anything else where you sign up for a newsletter or sign up for a marketing campaign or sign up for a PDF download. And then you start getting those automated emails, which I'm sure everybody's gotten because they signed up for something to get a product or an ebook or something. It'll actually store those items in there. So what it allows you to do is collect and store emails from any newsletter. You can grab up to 10,000 different quote assets or, emails or whatever inside of that. You can basically stealth sign up without using your own personal email address because it creates those one-time use or fake. I mean, it's a real email address, but it's not your personal one. And then that goes straight into the vault here. You can then edit and save and export those emails for future use. So you can kind of look at them or kind of, see the content. What you can also do is it has a collection widget for Chrome that you can collect ads as you browse Facebook and Google. So let's say that you're going through your Facebook thing and you're like, wow, that's a really engaging post, or even an email. Hey, that's a really engaging email. You can just screen capture and grab that particular content right off from your browser, and it'll automatically throw that into your repository of examples that you want to use for later inside of your SpyBio account. And then the other thing it can do is it can use one-click search to reverse engineer any funnel. And what that does is basically you can grab a funnel page or a marketing email page. And if there's a link from there that goes to another page, it'll grab all of those funnel and email stuff as an asset. And that page becomes kind of like a funnel flow. And you can kind of learn from everybody else's, funnel flows too. So it's kind of like almost like what you would do for the newsletter. And then it allows you to basically separate those emails and funnels and ads with a simple folder structure. So you can kind of keep track of, maybe it's like newsletter folder, or one's a webinar folder where you signed up for a webinar and you kind of started getting the webinar emails, et cetera, et cetera. So like if you've been getting my webinar ones from my SendFox, for example, if you did that with an email address, it would go in there and it would have all 21 emails in there as an asset from the string of quote webinar emails from that address or whatever, and kind of you can make that a folder for that. So that's what it does. I'll walk through an example demo here. This is what it looks like on the dashboard. Basically, you see there on the main page there it says inboxes, where it says no inboxes. You can basically add new inboxes. So if you want to add a new one for every particular site, you just keep adding an inbox email to be able to sign up, quote, for that newsletter or whatever. So you just make a bunch of those. And on the left there, you see the inbox, the ads, and the funnels there that I was kind of going over on the previous slide, where you can set those up and grab those content. And then obviously it has 10,000 assets in there that you can do. So what it does is here's an example of that stealth sign up. So without using your own personal email address, you can just use a @spybio.email address, or you can add your own if you have your own domain. I have on mine domain directorymailer.com that I use. And you can add your own domain in there if you want to CNAME record your own domain, or you can just use a SpyBio one. You just add that beginning of the email address there and hit create. And it gives you that email that you can sign up for the list. And so you can use that to research and collect those full email campaigns from everybody just using that email. And then this is what it looks like when it comes in there. These are obviously blank folders, but you can have those saved emails. You can have a folder for favorite sequences or maybe favorite emails. You can kind of move them into there and just kind of have different folders set up. And then it says, it has 0 sequences. So start adding different sequences in there as you go. And then what you can do basically is reveal potentially your competitor secrets, right? Based on actual data, their actual emails, and then you can go improve on those. The other thing you can do is, follow up and learn from other ad funnels or email marketing campaigns from other leading brands too. So you can go sign up for some of the big people that pay money to have real marketers make all this content, right? You can go just grab all those and kind of get some ideas for those. And so it allows you to edit, save, and export those emails for future use, like I mentioned here. So Again, if you have that email, here's this example where it opens up and saves all that email content in there, and you can just kind of go grab that email and any particular segments in there of items that you like. And then you can also collect ads as you browse around Facebook and Google. I talked about that. It doesn't have to be Facebook and Google. It could be anything. But you can basically store any of those ads that are trending or that you like on Facebook, or any of those emails that you see and like. And grab the inspirational ads to try to get some ideas for content marketing, email design, kind of whatever it is. You can kind of keep it in your little repository. And here's what it looks like there with the pop-up box there for Chrome. It'll say, it'll have your login details there. I kind of white it out, and it'll say capture a region, or you can capture the entire visible window. So I'm sure some of you have used these kind of capture things before. But unlike where it's just grabbing the image for something else, this one actually just throws it into your repository right away. And then you can go tag it and add stuff later, add it in different categories. But that's what it looks like. You can just grab screenshots of Facebook stuff or grab emails, and it just throws them in there. And then you can later filter by tags or keywords or whatever you did to add them in there. And it's kind of just sitting there waiting for you to be inspired by at a later point. And then you can also reverse engineer those profitable funnels like I talked about for the web pages, and then separate those into different folder structures based on brands or email strategies or different types of ads or different funnel locations, whatever you want for the folders. And so here's what it looks like for that. Here's a health and wellness folder. There's a wealth or make money folder with different emails or different ads. And so you can see this one has 12,000 ads on this example there, and you can view the folder and kind of resort and move those around in your particular area. So that's the kind of that's the service. Let me just go. Let me go show you what it looks like here, just as a live example there for the ad. So again, if you make an inbox, it just create a dynamic email address. So let's say you want yours to be Driectory XYZ, right? Whatever you want. And then let's say -1 because you're going to do that. You just create. Then it makes that email address. And now here's that folder for that email address for that inbox. And so any sequences you subscribe to with that email, it just automatically dumps into that sequence for that particular owner into that folder. Right. And so you can make a new folder. You can move, view that folder as well. Once you get a sequence in there, it'll have all the email content in here. And then you can switch back and forth between those that you want. So obviously it actually probably would make sense to have your directory name and then maybe the list you're subscribing to try to find it a little bit easier. Obviously you can search by keyword or tag that you've added those particular things as well. But now if you use the system, you can cut and try to use other people's email marketing sequences and try to learn from them, read them, and they're just kind of in a repository here for you to go grab at a later point or go look at. And these will just come in there automatically. So if you're going to your spam folder or you're deleting them out of your inbox, which normally happens, they're kind of gone, right? And you're like, oh, I remember that this website did a really good job of sending marketing emails. I don't remember what they sent. I deleted them all. In here, they're not in your, gunking up your folder anymore. All these sequences are just right here, and you can go see all of them in a row just inside the system here, and each one would have its own folder or sequence. So does that make sense to everybody in terms of how that works? And then what it can do too is go grab different web pages. So here's an example of funnels here for a particular website. Let's do. I'm just going to do Brilliant Directories real quick. Here's an example, and it'll pull any assets there if there's other funnels on their page or whatever. Oh, I got to put the full address in here. All right, so it's going to go pull those, and so now here's all the funnel pages for the Brilliant Directories page. I got them all here. I already downloaded them all, and all I have to do is go click on that particular funnel page, and I've got the content right here. So here's the opening salvo for Brilliant Directories. I can add a tag to this one so I can find it later. I can go, browse to there, go look at it. Now I can go to the next one. And so here's all the different funnel pages. Obviously, some of these are not necessarily funnels. These are just going off from all the links on their homepage, right? But it's showing the views here. But you obviously, if it was a funnel page, right, you can imagine it would go find the parts of the funnel from that page, right? It doesn't have to be that particular thing. And so you now have a funnel folder for Brilliant Directories, and you can go view any of those pages on their funnel and view that particular funnel, and you can make a new spy funnel for every different funnel that you're trying to learn from here. And it looks the same thing as the emails come in, right? This would be email number 1, email number 2, email number 3, et cetera, as they come in from the sign up.
How is it pulling an email sequence from their website? Am I missing something here? Or
no, this is basically it's helping you with funnels for anything, from email, from advertising campaigns, from websites. So It's basically just trying to show, because even when you think about it, you could have a really good funnel sequence of content on 3 funnel pages, and those are basically 3 emails, right? It's like the intro email, the sale, the capture with features page, and then the upsell final sales request, right? And so this just shows you a funnel page. This one, shows ads where you can add the ads for a particular, sequence of whatever. And then the inbox of like email, polls. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The other question is, could you do this like for like ClickFunnels, like, or somebody that's using a ClickFunnel or an email sequence, whether it's ClickFunnels or not, but an email sequence, once you capture the first one, will it, capture the upcoming sequences? Or
yes. So that's why you make a new email that's only going to ClickFunnels, right? It'd be podcasters directory -ClickFunnels at spyvo.email, and you sign up with that one. They'll all automatically go for that entire sequence from that email, from that one email sign up. It'll all get fed in right here, and so you can start to see, like, maybe that you sign up for the webinar, for a ClickFunnels webinar, but you see their trail there. Maybe they go into their newsletter. Now you get their new whatever sequence or whatever. You start to see their flow of emails, how they market to their people with whenever somebody signs up. So you would directly be able to do the same thing, right? When somebody signs up to your account, when you're making your automation thing, you could set yours up exactly like the big hitters do, like ClickFunnels, exactly.
And on that, say they have 20 emails in their sequence, will it automatically pull, as a recipient, when I put in my name and email, I'm only getting, number 1 and then all the way through until the funnel ends at 20. Is it going to pull up all 20 up front, or just email?
No. It only does it when you get them, right? So if it takes a month to get all 20, you may only have 18. The next week is going to have 20. So you probably, it's kind of an overtime thing, of course, but all this basically is a process to not spam your inbox, be able to sign up for a bunch of, email funnels you maybe didn't want to do because you didn't want to get your inbox spammed, and then be able to just roll in here one day and now go look at everybody's, 20 different email campaigns and start seeing how the big guys do their email campaigns.
Yeah, because if I'm interested in something, I have a couple of junk kind of Gmails that I use for something I'm somewhat interested in, and I kind of want to see their offering or whatever, but I don't want it coming in my main box. What this does is stores it all.
So I'm gonna do it right now. Let me go. I wasn't planning to do this, but I'm gonna go there real quick. I'm gonna create an inbox real quick. I'm gonna do let's see. I'm gonna do directory webinar -ClickFunnels. I'm gonna go grab something off ClickFunnels and do it here. So I'm gonna create that. See, upgrade to add another inbox. Oh, hold on. Let me just grab that one I did there. Let me find out on that one why you can't do that. I think I'm just logged in as maybe I didn't open it up for everybody. So let me just grab that real quick. Sorry. Folder out of there. Show you guys how this works here. All right, so ClickFunnels. So I'm hoping they have something to sign up here. Let's see, blog. This is one of those things where I'm waiting for something to pop up for a subscribe thing, and
Right. So
actually, I guess I could start the free trial. I guess.
So this is like a Chrome extension.
Let's do Ryan. Here's my email, and hopefully it won't block me here.
So yeah, you should be on the sequence now, right?
Yeah, it should be. I'm gonna see if I get it. Obviously, I don't want any of this stuff. No, I don't want that. If they're smart, I'm just gonna cancel this. I don't want to play my billing thing. We'll see if I get something. This may not have been the best one here.
Yeah, you can put in Mark's credit card information for the free trial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rich.
Sure.
All right. So we'll see if anything comes in. But anyway, that you go sign up for something. I'm trying to think of another one. Anyway, it's one of those things where I can't get a pop up if I wanted it.
Yeah.
Another. Let's see, HubSpot. I'm trying to think of somebody that normally has pop up things.
Yeah.
Get the report. There we go. I think John is a good name. Smith is also a good name.
I feel bad for all the real John Smiths out there that probably get filtered. It's like, please enter your real name. Yeah.
Right.
The
Man, you see how difficult this. You think about this when you're trying to give something away. Like I'm just trying to get your email. There's like way too many steps in there.
They make it difficult.
Now, what if you just signed up for somebody's newsletter, like on their homepage of a website? Does this work as well?
Yeah, you should.
Because sign up for a newsletter, you're probably going to get a drip, series, not a one-off. But maybe you just get their monthly newsletter at that point.
Yeah, could be. We'll see what. It's probably got to go through the funnels and pull in here. Yeah. But at least I got a HubSpot report here. So I'll download that. See what that is later. But anyway, it looks like I'm gonna have to look here to see why it wasn't doing the inbox or whatever. It's supposed to be sub accounts, so I'm gonna have to get back to you if you guys are interested in that. Make sure that's working good before I toss that over.
Ryan, how much does this run or cost?
It's normally $99 for one-time lifetime deal for the 10,000 assets, and so I do have some sub accounts for that, and that's what I'm using now. So maybe something I need to look into here. But just the reseller agreement, I guess, for this one is I'm not allowed to water it down by charging less than $50. So what I was going to do on there was offer up if you buy $50 worth of time for me that you can do customizations or consulting time or whatever. I was just going to give this away to you guys for free. So just because I have to charge something for $50 to not give this away for free. So they're like, you can give it away for $50 as long as you charge something for some service, and you're not just handing it out for free. So,
Sure.
so that's just in the licensing agreement for this one that I have to do at least $50. So,
Gotcha.
if you guys are interested in doing that, let me know, and I can get you an account in here for that. It'll just be that one-time $50 with me that you can spend at any time. I'll just add it to credit to an invoice for you, and then this will just be free for you guys.
Sounds good.
And then I'll figure that out, and I'll see if anything actually comes in the inbox, and try to figure that out. So we'll kind of pause it there. I don't want to waste too much time in here. I was just kind of going over here on this one. I hadn't. This is fairly new, getting this, and so it kind of went with the email theme here. So I'm throwing that out there to go over, and we'll go. I'll fill you guys in next week where we're at on that. And then just as a precursor, because we're at our 2 hours time here, I'm going to just briefly intro the topic set that we'll do for next week. And it's the identity verification protocol. So if you ever are looking at how you're verifying yourself on the particular emails that it's you and not somebody else, there's basically three big hitter items or processes called SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. And basically, they all do different things. SPF identifies your IP address to make sure somebody's authorized to send from your email from a particular IP address, and to kind of whitelist a sender. The DKIM answers two questions. Basically, does it have a valid signature? So basically, there's something in your DNS settings that says that somebody, it's basically like a handshake pair. The sender has part of the key. Your domain name has part of the other part of the key. And by you having both pieces to that pie, when it goes into somebody's email box, it basically knows that the email hasn't changed from when it was sent, and that it's an authorized vendor, because they basically have the other half of what's sitting on your domain name. So it kind of validates that they have the permission to send from your domain name. That's what DKIM is. And then DMARC is the basically authenticating that the sender and the from address is actually the person that was sending it. And so it does a couple other validation messages, because the SPF and DKIM are kind of behind the scenes. It doesn't really have anything to do with actually what it says on the from address. So it could be somebody that is authorized to send from your email address. It may be somebody that you're authorizing from sending from your domain, but doesn't mean that even though they're sending from your domain and an authorized IP, doesn't mean that they're actually the person in the from address, if that makes sense. So you could, so for example, you can't authorize to send from somebody's server and then send in the from address the president of the United States at gmail.com, right? You just can't.
So that cut down on spoofing then, right?
Yeah, it's like spoofing, right? So, or phishing type stuff that happens. So, so those are the three things that we'll go over next week on exactly what they are, what they stand for, how to set them up, what's in your BD for those things. And so bottom line is the SPF and DKIM have been added by BD in the last couple months after we inquired about that. What they do not do, because of how the settings are right now, it does not do DMARC authentication, and does not set it up for that alignment. And depending on which email service you have, may be the issue of why you're getting blocked as spam. Because, and just to keep it short, the SendGrid is in that shared IP from BD is sending from sendgrid.net, but your from address is saying it's from directorypodcasters.com. So they're sometimes, some systems are flagging it, going, well, you're sending it from SendGrid, but you're saying you're this other person in the from address. We're blocking it because it's not the same. It doesn't validate. And so we'll get into the details of that, good, bad, and different, what they are, what you can potentially do, some limitations of each, what they are, and how those work next week. So that's kind of a brief overview.
That'll potentially kind of circumvent or be proactive in addressing those issues.
Yeah, potentially, but it may just be a drawback that they can't fix, or at least working on right now, and or a reason why you maybe want to go with the paid SendGrid account, because you can manually set those up if you have a paid SendGrid account. So, okay. And I've already noticed that it worked. For example, I was getting a lot of blowbacks on my SendFox one. for the webinars here because I did not have DMARC DNS setting on my on my DNS settings. And I added that one in because it used to go to spam even for me, sending it for myself. And I added that DMARC record into my DNS today. And this week it did not go to my spam. It went to the inbox. So it does work. I think it does whitelist for some vendors better than others. But I was able to get that, drained up across the board for at least SendFox as an example. But BD is still blocking parts of that DMARC actions, just the way they have it set up, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you incorporated all those codes, what have you, into your SendFox account?
Correct. Yep. There's just different DNS settings in there. And then I'll just cut to this one real quick, just as a brief overview, and we'll get to that here next week. But here's the difference between SendFox on the left and what ends up with BD on the right. It does, since they add the SPF and DKIM into the records, I'm getting green authentications up here for that one, but it's not aligned. And I get a non-DMARC compliant response from that because as you see here in the red box, it's sending from the domain sendgrid.net.
Oh yeah.
I'm able in SendFox to add that DKIM alignment thing in their settings. So when they send it, it's still a SendGrid account, but it's sending from my domain. Directorytoolkit.com, and that when it does that, there's no misalignment anymore. The email that it's in the back end that it says it's sending from also matches my from domain from directorytoolkit.com. So it goes green, they're aligned, everything turns green, and I get a complete compliant DMARC. Everything's green for SendGrid. This is the BD one right here. It's not using that.
This is an MX Toolkit.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys can take a look at that, maybe play around with that. Come with your questions next week. We can maybe answer it. But the bottom line is this one's using a CNAME record right now because they're doing shared SendGrid. It's using a text record. And I think that has something to do with how it's implementing or whatever, and something that they're looking into to potentially use that new method. But the other thing you can do, again, like I said, and again, I don't know of anybody that's paying for SendGrid. So, Mark, if you have a paid one on that, maybe we can use you to check out. Or if anybody else is just watching it, let me know. I think you can set your own SendGrid sending email in those DMARC or DKIM settings in your paid SendGrid account, and basically bypass the shared thing process with BD and just use your own DKIM settings in there. And you could probably get yours to look like this if you're paying for SendGrid. So that may be, again, one of those. Not only can you pay for a non-shared IP address, but you can maybe get your own DKIM settings and get that greened up so you get better deliverability from your BD emails.
The way they recommend to do that, Ryan, is you create a subdomain for the SendGrid or Mailgun, whatever you're using. I've got paid on both. I can dig into it.
Yeah, you have your own sending domain. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, it's just a subdomain. So you just put sg.yourdomain.com.
Okay, right. Yep, good call. And again, they treat that as a separate domain, right? And that's why people sometimes shift the, email 1 dot or email 2 dot, email 3 dot, right? Because they can kind of change those subdomains if they burn one, I guess.
Yeah, because if you're hanging out in BD's neighborhood, you don't have any control over what else is going on in there, and that's not a good long-term strategy.
Right.
So subdomain name, you can just set that up on your like GoDaddy or your domain.
Yeah,
server.
wherever you have your DNS settings, whatever's controlling your DNS settings.
You can set up a subdomain. The other question, not a question, but you should just send that screenshot over to Jason at BD.
Yeah, I already did.
Yeah.
So they're aware. The developers are aware of it. I just don't think it's not set up with that SendGrid shared account to be able to do that the way they have it set up. They're looking into it. So if I hear back from them on what they're going to do, I've made them aware of it. So again, I don't know what's causing the issue really. I mean that's the tricky part about emails. Sometimes they're like, we're not having any that shouldn't cause it to go to spam. in Gmail. It obviously does, right? For different email services, that's probably better than that because it's just very complicated, right? Because whoever's sending it is different. Whoever's receiving it is different depending on what settings they have or what email service they have. So it's a very complex system. Obviously, they're trying to make the best of all worlds, or a system where it's cheap enough where they're not paying for a separate domain from SendGrid from every single one of their 20,000 accounts, right? I mean, so at some point, there's some limitations to what they're doing. But anyway. So we'll go over that next week. All right. So I'm sorry I wasn't reading the chat because I was talking. So Blake said, thanks. Learned several tips and resources. So good. And I'll read through some of the other comments here. Deborah, I'm going to copy this for later as I wasn't able to read that. So I'll read that after here. I know you're off comm. So anything else for you guys before we sign off, or any other last minute questions? Thanks for hanging out to the end here.
Yeah, thank you. It was very informative, as always.
Very good. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording again. Thanks for joining. You can watch the recording on directoryvideos.com, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody